All right, well, it's right at 6 o'clock, so we'll start with some introductions, and if other neighbors join, then they can catch up with us. I'm Emily Chancellor, and I'm in the Public Information Office at Austin Water. And tonight is a follow-up meeting that was requested by neighbors to present some additional information and additional details about siting for the permanent odor control unit that we are working to install there at the West Bank lift station. So why don't we do introductions for the project team and neighbors who are here? Nick, why don't you go next?
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. I'm Nick Burnett. I work for Capital Delivery Services, and I'm the project manager on this. Van, you're on mute if you want to go next.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. My name is Van Winkle. I'm a supervising engineer at Austin Water, and I am the project sponsor for Austin Water on this project. And I'll turn it over to you, Kevin.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Kevin Kohler. I'm a division manager with Austin Water. I've just been involved with this project since the beginning and happy to have you guys join us tonight.
Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Brian Erickson. I'm one of the 5 members from the community on the Common Area Committee, and I see Joe Batson's on as well. So.
Great, thank you. Hi, Joe. Would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, Joe, you're muted. I'm sorry.
I'm
There
Joe
you go.
Batson. I'm a member of the community also, and glad to see everyone here.
Great, thank you. Well, we were going to keep this somewhat informal. We don't have slides, but Nick, our project manager, has some exhibits to share, and we're going deeper on the details on this one. So he'll take some time to sort of orient and explain the legend. You all asked us to sort of present more about the constraints that were part of the design work to lead to the placement that we're planning for this unit. And so we're bringing those tonight for us to look at all together. And so, Nick, you want to share your screen and I'll just turn it over to you. And I would say if you have questions, feel free to ask as we go. You can type them in or just speak, and we can just have this as a conversation.
Yeah. Emily, can you see my screen?
I can, yes. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay, so what you guys see in the red is our current City of Austin easement for the West Bank Odor Lift Station and Odor Control Unit. And what is highlighted in green is basically this environmental restriction area composed of recharge zones, which goes to the aquifers, which restricts kind of facilities within this area as far as harming the possible environmental, aquifers. So, and then the last thing is our tree canopies, which is highlighted kind of in these bubbles on the outside. So let me zoom in for a second, and you can see our new odor control unit, which is pretty much in the exact location as the temporary unit, is just outside this environmental restriction area, which was one of the main issues with trying to figure out where we could set this unit at.
So I guess the current unit is kind of grandfathered in. Is that why it's in that?
The lift station is, yes, it's 40 plus years old, and now we kind of understand the environmental sensitivity areas a little better. And so to build anything else has to be outside of it. So the second slide is just kind of a zoomed in area of it, showing the existing lift station and then our proposed odor control unit. And you'll see the gates entrances here as well. Again, we have our trees here on the shore. And we have one more slide. So this slide was kind of shown like the homeowners were interested in, ideally putting this odor control unit up here on the north side, where the kayaks and close to the shore line was over here. In order for operations to do maintenance and stuff on this odor control unit, you have to back in an 18-foot trailer. This is the turning radius, which is the center line right here, which basically intersects a bunch of these trees, these nice trees that are on the shoreline on the east side right here. So this was another reason it couldn't be over here. So again, this is our highlighted area of the permanent odor control unit. Any questions, or you need me to move to any of the slides, Joe or Brian?
So yeah, so they've got to get to where you have those doors, those kind of bifold swing out gate. That's where they have to be able to get to service it.
Correct. Van could probably speak a little better on it, but they have these carbon filters that they pull out in and out in order to maintenance these units. Is that correct, Van?
Yes, essentially when you see that round shape that's highlighted there, kind of close to Nick's cursor, yeah, right there, that's going to be a cylindrical vessel, and that vessel is going to be full of carbon media, and so every so often that media is going to need to be changed out. And to change that out, they would need to be able to bring a truck with a trailer in that has the large bags of media. And so that was the thought, was that to be able to maintenance that, which is, there's kind of two pieces of equipment there. There's a cylindrical vessel that will contain the carbon media, and then in that rectangle right next to it, that's going to be a fan that is essentially in a sound attenuated enclosure. And that piece of equipment has to be maintained well. So if something were to happen and they needed to take that out, they would need to be able to bring a truck close to that piece of equipment to be able to pull that housing off the sound enclosure, and to pull the fan or the motor and put it on a trailer to take it in to have it either repaired or to bring in a new one and replace it. So really what we've done, we've tried to locate this where we can operate it, maintain it, and still provide the necessary access that is needed for operations and maintenance of the existing lift station, as well as, provide you guys with the necessary access that you need to get to your boat docks and get to the north side over there without restricting access. And again, after the last meeting, we kind of received some feedback that, hey, is there a way you could move it to the north, kind of get it out of the way there? And we've really we looked at it, and we spent a lot of time trying to evaluate the best location. And, we did this turning radius scenario here so we could try to understand, to get a truck back into that area, what it would take. And unfortunately, it would take us needing to remove trees and pretty much regrade the bank there. And we just felt like that was going to be a no-go, removing trees and really start, getting close to the water's edge with grading and driveway material. So we felt like going forward that this was, still going to be the best location. And then as well, we're dealing with the environmental buffer as well. So along with that, the environmental buffer kind of makes it to where we cannot locate it north of the existing lift station site as well. To the left of the station or to the west, we would be in the environmental buffer zone. And then, of course, further to the south, you kind of get into your open space there. And so we really were looking at where, we're going to have to keep this kind of in this small, uh, kind of predefined area and still maintain all this accessibility that we need for operations and maintenance. And then as you guys, need as well to access your properties back there. So this is essentially, where we've landed with, placing this permanent unit, which is essentially in about the same exact location that the temporary unit is in right now.
Thanks, Nick and Van. Do you all have any questions or further discussion on these constraints that we presented?
Yeah, what about rotating the new unit 90 degrees and backing it up where the doors are right now and moving the on the current lift station? So it's just to the lower left of your plus right there. So we rotate it 90 degrees and back it up to where the current doors are, and we move the doors on the left for the transformer pad and doors maybe over on the right. So you come in over the concrete generator pad there, or maybe around the other side. So we don't have this gap between them. We can.
Yeah, I can speak to that. The reason the gap is there is to maintain accessibility for Austin Energy for those transformers. Austin Energy has certain requirements that have to be maintained for their accessibility and being able to bring a truck in to that location to either pull a transformer or set a transformer is their requirement. And that is the reason, that is the only reason really, other than, like you're saying, kind of refiguring that existing double swing gate right there. That's the reason why we're maintaining that gap between the existing station and what we're proposing, is for them to be able to drive back there.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was, so it would not be where all those red arrows are. It wouldn't block any of that. It would start kind of at that, start right at that, right where the green arc crosses that 90 degree, right? It starts there and goes to the right, if you will, right?
Right.
So yeah, it would kind of be.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You can still get the transformer. You just need obviously you need a way to walk into the area because you'd be blocking those current doors. So you need doors somewhere, whether they're by the transformer or around the other side or something. But yeah.
We did look at rotating it like you're saying. The problem is we are limited to existing easement. So if we tried to rotate it like you're suggesting, that the dimensions that we need is going to put it outside of what we have as far as existing easements are concerned.
That's represented by the red box, right?
Yes, so the red boundary is what our existing easements are that we're working within. So if we were to do something that places equipment outside of that boundary, or makes it to where access has to be made outside of that boundary, then that is us acquiring additional easement.
Yeah, I got you. So but it looks like your width dimension there, your max width dimension is 9 feet 2 inches. And I know you got fence around it, but you've got 9 feet 2 inches of equipment, right? It's right down there under that circle down towards the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, if you're sharing the common fence, you don't need the gap there for the fence. So if you start at that fence, it looks like you definitely have more than 10 feet between the fence and the red line. Right. Yeah. Like that dimension from there to the red line would be more than 9 feet. So it looks like it should be able to fit.
Again,
but then you don't have access to the lift station.
Right, but those doors could be to the left or to the right, right? You have left, you
Well,
have doors where the transformer are, or the doors where you got doors on the other
Yeah,
side.
we cannot put the doors on the left side where the transformer
yeah,
is. It's kind of hard to tell looking at this picture, but it's very tight over there. And there's existing electrical meter, AE electric meters over there. And just the way the existing lift station is laid out, would not um, that wouldn't work for us as far as accessibility. And then again, if we're doing kind of like what you're suggesting, maybe even putting the gate on the right hand side, and rotating it, we're still kind of making it not accessible within the current easement.
I wonder if you might talk a little bit about that rotating, what for the neighbors you would hope to achieve by the rotation that you're suggesting. Um, is there access to something that
Yeah,
might be good for the team to know?
I think that making it contiguous instead of having a, 9.5 foot gap between these,
Hmm.
because now we've got all this dead space between that, if we were, if, I know if Nick were laying out this entire thing, clean from the start, it'd be very different.
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
We don't have that option.
Right.
um, um,
I think the
so,
team
so,
did understand that eliminating that gap would be desirable, and along with our design engineer who we've hired, they kind of looked at every angle, and we're happy to look through it with you in this discussion. But I do want to assure you that they've looked at that and tried to find a way, and
yeah,
this is where we've landed for the reasons they've talked about.
right. Because to move this gate, you know, yes, a gate is easy to move, but then it requires access to the gate based on the facilities there that are existing that make it so tough.
Because really the reason why that double gate is there where Nick's cursor is, if there is something that they need to get out of that wet well that the sewer is coming into, they have to be able to back a truck all the way up into there and then use essentially like a small truck mounted crane and position that over the opening of the wet well to be able to lower, uh, you know, the hook down in there and retrieve something that could be blocking it, to clean it out, which is really the most frequent thing they have to do is they have to bring a vacuum truck in. They have to back it all the way in, and then they have to take usually it's a 6 inch or so vacuum hose, and they have to stick it down in there, and they have to clean out the wet well because in the sewer, unfortunately, a lot of debris can accumulate in these wet wells, and so they have to do you know cleaning every so often to clean that debris out of the bottom of these wells to prevent problems with the pumps that they have. So that's the real reason why that double gate that's existing is located the way it is, so they can drive a truck straight into there, backed up, and position the hoist or the vacuum tube over to the well.
mhm.
So I guess it's dead space except when those sort of activities are happening. And those are vital activities,
Mhm.
unfortunately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would love to make it contiguous. We don't prefer to have the gap like it is shown either. we completely understand that. We even think, in our opinion, it would be better to have it one fenced area without the gap. It's just unfortunate we weren't able to make it work in this situation. Now, start talking about acquiring easements, then that opens up for a lot more um, flexibility, right? Because we're trying to stay within existing easements.
Well, where would be the other options if we if we got the neighbors to agree to, you know, I mean, well, because it seems with that green recharge zone, it kind of wipes out between the recharge zone and the need to maintain that gate access, you know, it makes it really tricky. I mean, and being able to get a truck to an 18-foot truck or whatever into the new, whatever as you were describing. Where else? Like, what would be your next best place if like you could just draw it wherever you wanted on this map? Like ignoring the red lines, where would you put it?
Ignoring the red lines.
Right.
I mean, if we ignored the red lines, we might. Well, I don't know that the way that buffer is, that really creates a problem. And with the existing transformer being in that back corner, we really have to maintain a vehicle access. And so in speaking with Austin Energy, they need at least a 8 foot wide um, to back a service vehicle back there and pull that transformer off um, if it were to fail.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The
And you
farther
have the
west you get,
trees.
unfortunately, as you're probably aware, that slope starts getting pretty steep, and then we have some fairly large trees in that area too, with root zones, and so that makes it challenging um, with trying to, make the access over on that side.
Hmm.
I think the team doesn't, with all the constraints, and I don't think taking the easement constraint away really gives any options on the west side or north side for
Right.
this placement, right? So the easement isn't the
Unfortunately,
only consideration.
yeah, we're kind of pinned in between a few different restrictions here.
So Brian and Joe, have we provided the detail you were seeking for this? I know we're maybe not getting to the result that you and maybe some of the other neighbors hoped for. Have we provided the detail that you wanted to see? And we're happy to share this file with you if you'd like to have these exhibits.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Just so, because I know
Okay.
it doesn't look like I see Joe's on, and I can't tell if there's other people on by phone or not. But this will help us
No,
kind of break
I
the
think it's the
bad
two
news.
of you. Yeah, the two of you who are the ones who have joined.
Yeah,
Um, I'd like to just make sure I have your email addresses, if you don't mind saying it or putting it in the
sure.
chat.
I'll just put it in the chat. Make sure you get
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Where's our chat here?
And you can always email me if you have additional questions as you look at these exhibits. I can work with the team to provide a response. Um, I do believe that Nick, you might want to give an update on next steps and kind of the schedule going forward.
Yeah, no problem. So we're currently working towards getting to bid an award, looking for our contractor on this project, which would put us at beginning construction in November or October, November. And the first couple months, you won't see much out there because we'll be getting the submittal and getting the order of this permanent odor control unit. At which point, once it's being delivered, you'll see us come out, our contractor come out. We have a little bit of utility work to do, which includes wastewater line and electrical. And we'll start that work of, probably about a month before the new unit shows up. And then it'll be a quick swap out of the temporary unit for the permanent unit. And then at which point we'll come back and install the driveway, the wider driveway, and the new gate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll email these exhibits over to you all. I got both of your email addresses. Thank you for putting those in the chat. And the project team is proceeding. We don't have another meeting with neighbors planned, but please reach out to me if you want to have a call or if we need to have a full meeting. We want to, provide good updates and be in communication with you all. Then I think we would get together again once we have a contractor on board, and certainly before activities start there on the site. We'll have another meeting and we'll send updates out.
Yeah, so first wanted to express our appreciation for you guys for all the hand holding. And I know, it's not great news from our perspective, but we appreciate the effort that y'all have gone through to try to do everything we could to make it as, palatable as possible. So appreciate that. The last question I had was, Emily, I don't know if this is for you or who, but is there anything on the roadmap as far out as we look where there's any possibility that, with all the houses being built in Westlake, there, along Westlake Drive and stuff, is there any possibility that this is going to need to be upgraded? Anything on the roadmap or any contemplation that, in 10 years and 15 years, we may need to upgrade this for some reason because we know there's more development going in. Any discussion of that?
I can speak to that.
Thank you, Van.
Yeah, we have, and I say we, the consultant in particular, we have sized this unit to be the full build out. And it's based on the existing collection system size and limits, less the houses that are either currently being built or could be tied into the existing wastewater collection system. So we do not anticipate that there would ever need to be an upgrade in size for this.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful. I mean, I just know there's a lot of new construction going on. There are a lot of just big open spaces that are now becoming houses. And I'm just kind of terrified that we're going to get this set in like 5 or 6 years or 10 years from now. We're going to be here together again and saying, well, now we need to,
Sure.
That's the fear. So, okay.
Yeah, no, we checked with our planning department to ensure that, we weren't going to be seeing any need to upgrade the existing wastewater infrastructure to be larger, which would impact the size of this. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much built to what the capacity it can be now. So there's no expectation or anticipation that we would need to come back in the future at any time to increase the size of it.
So while you're talking about this, Van, you're talking specifically about the odor control facility, about that you don't anticipate needing to increase the size. There is a project that's not funded for construction, but that has been identified as a need in this area. Do you want to describe that, just so we're giving Brian kind of a full
Sure.
picture? And I don't know if you or Kevin wants to speak to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was specifically referring to the odor control unit, but as well the lift station. We do not anticipate increasing the size of the existing lift station in the future. Now, the project that Emily is referring to is there's a need for a new force main that goes under the river there to the other side. So currently this lift station, when it receives all of its flow, it actually pumps out through a force main that goes across and under the river, and that's an original piping that was installed. And so we've identified that in the future we're most likely going to have to replace that piping. But in order to replace that piping, we would have to essentially build a second piping, a second force main, and then switch over from what we have existing to the new once it's built, because we have to maintain this operation 24/7, 365. So we have to maintain the existing force main, build the new force main, and then switch over to the new force main, and then most likely either abandon or demolish the existing force main. And that's what that W with a line there, that's the or I'm sorry, that's the actual water line.
Yeah.
But it within, yeah, there you go, right there. That's the existing wastewater line. It's an 8-inch cast iron line. And so that would need to be replaced. And I think we have that sitting right now outside of our 10-year spending plan as far as budgeting is concerned.
Okay.
So maybe in another 10 years or so.
Okay. Appreciate that detail. That's helpful. And where does this all gravity drains somewhere at the end of the day? Where does it all end up? What treatment plant?
So this one, I believe everything here will probably end up at South Austin Regional Plant over off of 71 and Toll Road 130 across the river from the Tesla Gigafactory.
Wow. Can we just reroute this and go up to Ulrich?
Yeah, well,
No,
that's the water
no,
plant.
No.
We don't want to take it to the water plant.
Yeah, Ulrich is a water treatment plant,
okay.
and
Okay. We don't
yeah,
treat it all the way around. I see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, we only do treated water for drinking water at Ulrich,
Got it.
and then wastewater goes to our plants that are at lower points in the city, which are on the east side of
Got
our
it.
city. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
You gave us all a little like heart palpitations
Yeah,
there.
listen, when you get somebody that knows like 1%, they say something
Yeah,
that's spectacularly stupid like that. It's awesome.
That's
no,
okay.
no,
That's
no.
okay.
Thanks
We're
for
just
your
kind of
help.
having a
Go.
little fun with it.
Yeah.
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 All
And
right.
so I guess it is good for you to know that projects in the future, because I do think there will need to be an additional easement. So we will need to work with all of the owners. And I think there has been some outreach in the past, but it's not an urgent, pressing issue. But we will ask for support to get that easement, to get that new force main in. And I think, will the work be like drilling? Will it have a lot of surface impacts or
Well,
some?
particularly in this location, because we have, of course, not went through an engineering study on it yet, but we'll most likely be digging a pretty deep pit there and boring underneath the river
Okay.
to the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
we haven't
Well,
fully studied that yet, but that's kind of
Sure.
what we're thinking.
Okay. All right. Well, not a topic that we have to tackle today, but I'm glad to make you all aware of it, so it's not a surprise when we're needing to address that with you all.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
All
Anything
right.
else y'all would like to visit about tonight?
No, would love if you can email me that
Sure.
that whatever you got, that'd be helpful. Thanks so much, and sorry for making you late to dinner. So
No, we're all
No
good.
problem.
all right.
Okay. Y'all have a
Thank
good
you all.
evening. Thank you.